Welcome to the Geek Cabal channel. This is our podcast, Cabal Whisperings. This is episode 48. My name is Bobbie. This video was not originally recorded to be a podcast. It's going to be another video. It's going to start here in a second. This is just an intro. And it's myself and a gentleman named Bryan, who is one of our fans that we have met up with at Gen Con the last couple of years. He happened to be in Indianapolis in January. So, depending on when this video goes up, it was a little while ago, and we filmed two rather lengthy videos. The first was we were talking about the fact we went to go watch The Shining at a theater there in Indianapolis. Bryan had not seen it before. I had not seen it in a theater before. And so we had a lengthy video about that, which was episode 46 of the podcast. And similar to this, I didn't intend on recording it as a podcast video. And this would be where we talk about Star Wars in this one. Because Bryan's history with the franchise is different than my own, born several years apart, so only one of the original three movies actually came out in my lifetime, and I only missed one of the others by a year. So whereas Bryan's introduction was actually during the prequel trilogy. So anyway, so that's what this video is going to be about. And just to give you an idea on the timeline, I believe we recorded this whenever I believe it had been reported, like semi-officially, that Kathleen Kennedy was in fact stepping down. So we do talk about that. I just don't recall if that was like official yet or if that was still in the rumor phase. So, but anyway, so this is going to be us talking about Star Wars for like an hour and a half. So hopefully you're ready for that. I do have to apologize for the bad lighting in the video. That's on me. I didn't think ahead that like this can be a hotel room with only a few lights. I should probably bring a light. I did not. That was on me. But yeah, this is more of a listening kind of episode. So anyway, hopefully everything sounds good. And just one other note, I'd like to apologize to Bryan if you're watching this, because in editing, I realized I think I was talking over you quite a bit. And I have a bad habit of doing that. I've only noticed it when I edit some of the videos, and like, man, I look kind of like an asshole. So hopefully it didn't come across that way. If it did, I sincerely apologize. But anyway, here we go with episode 48, a Star Wars episode. This is the Geek Cabal channel. If you've not been here before, my name is Bobbie.
This is Bryan.
And Bryan is one of our fans, been in some of the videos, and happened to be here roughly in the neighborhood for some business, and want to get together and record some videos. So, yeah, like I said in the beginning, Star Wars in particular has a couple different orders and sequences that people like to watch the movies in. But what if you watch them in just an almost random order? And Bryan has some experience with that.
Yep.
So go ahead and tell the fine folks about that, Bryan.
Yeah. So since, I won't say my actual age, but I was basically too young to even have thought about seeing The Phantom Menace in theaters, and really still a little too young to have seen Attack of the Clones in theaters. So we'll start there. But the first Star Wars film I watched that I can specifically remember, I would have to say it was actually probably A New Hope and then Empire Strikes Back, but I didn't watch episode 6 for a while because after I watched Empire Strikes Back, I played games like Rogue Squadron, and I got quite a few things of the original lore, you could say, like expanded universe stuff for the the Empire era. I'm not sure what that term would be, but you'd have that. And
oh, do you mean the original trilogy?
The original trilogy.
The Galactic Civil War.
Galactic Civil War. Thank you. Galactic Civil War. Yes. So I had definitely already. I just love Star Wars after, I guess, Empire Strikes Back made me love it even more, but I did love Episode 4. Because it felt like a universe. It felt like something, it was something, I couldn't precisely describe it as a kid, but it just felt so much bigger than anything I had experienced. It felt like there was so much to learn, and as a kid, I liked learning as a kid, and I had never thought that something like that would make me interested for the next 30 years, 25 years, whatever, starting back then. So as I was, finishing Empire Strikes Back, my dad had realized, okay, he probably likes Star Wars. So I got games, things like that. I got Pod Racer on the N64. And it wasn't new, but it was around the age where I got into games. It was just before PS2, or just around PS2 had come out. And but I still had an N64. So after that, he realized I was always playing Pod Racer at his house. And one day he came back with a DVD, and he goes, "This is a new Star Wars movie." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, I knew, because I'm a little kid. I don't know. The internet wasn't really even a thing anyways, but I definitely would have had no way of knowing that Star Wars was new, like a new thing of Star Wars. This was probably maybe a month or so after the movie had been out, but he basically got a bootleg, pirated copy, and I watched episode 2 at my dad's house, and I don't think he even watched much of it with me, because he was probably I don't think he was really into Star Wars that much. He definitely liked Lord of the Rings, but he wasn't into Star Wars as much. But he was around while I was watching it, and my sister was like, I'm all set with this. So it was just me watching it, and I watched that movie probably 2 or 3 times that weekend that I was at my dad's house. And I just remember thinking, I can't believe this is even better. Even though I think Attack of the Clones is probably one of the worst Star Wars films. But it was sick to me, because I thought Count Dooku was so cool. I thought all the sounds were so cool. It just seemed like it was just new Star Wars, And that's where I really felt that this is something that I can't get enough of. So it made me think, looking back now, I really didn't even understand the films. I just liked Star Wars. I just liked the universe. And that was all that was important to me. I truly didn't think about the order of the films until probably I was like late elementary school, early middle school, when I also had people to talk about Star Wars with, whether it's classmates or like my older cousins or something, or my uncle. And that's when I realized, like, I should rewatch these, which I did. I had them on VHS. My grandma also realized I definitely like Star Wars. So I got all episode 4 through 6 on VHS. I watched that on VHS. Then I started getting the DVDs for episode 1 and 2. And then I saw episode 3 in theaters when that came out when I was a little kid. So before I saw episode 3, I had watched all the Star Wars films before that. But I did not start like that. And I think it's just a testament to show how great Star Wars was at attracting new fans and kids. If you had any interest in sci-fi or like things that little boys would probably be like, this is cool, right? Like you had science, you had ships, you had the Force, you had Jedi. Like these were things that were already culturally significant, and I could just be absorbed into that. So yeah, I'd say it affected my view of Star Wars though.
Yeah. Well, I know Jim and I probably mentioned this before somewhere, but like for us, by the time I was born, 2 of the movies were already out.
Yeah.
So Return of the Jedi is the only one of the original trilogy that came out after I was born. So by the time I actually watched them, the original trilogy was already the trilogy.
Yeah.
And at that point, I had VHS copies. Not gonna lie, they were pirated copies. For those of you who are not old enough to know this sort of thing, what you used to be able to do was take 2 VCRs, plug them into each other, put the tape you want to copy into one and put a blank tape in the other, hit play and hit record, and well, now you've got a copy. Which was the exact thing that the movie studios were like, we can't let this happen. That's why they fought home video for a long time.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, so I had those, and like all through the 80s, I kept watching them. Like a lot of, I don't know about a lot of fans, but interest definitely slumped around like 88, 87, 88, 89, somewhere in there. Because there was a couple of the side projects that came out. I did not know about until years later. There was the Droids cartoon, I think an Ewoks cartoon. There's a couple of Ewok movies. And like I said, I didn't know about those until years later. Still don't watch any of them. But then, around the early 90s, the novels started to come out with originally the Timothy Zahn trilogy.
Truce of a Quarter, I think, was one of the first ones.
It's somewhere there, yeah. But someone bought me the 3rd book, and I didn't realize it was the 3rd book, The Last Command. And so I read it, and I'm like, who the hell were all these other people? But like I figured out most of the backstory from the other 2 books, and read that one. I was like, well, that's pretty impressive. And started reading some of the others, It wasn't until years later that I was like, there's 2 other books in this series. I should probably read them. And that's why The Last Command is one of the only books I've ever reread. Because I have fairly decent memory, so I just don't reread books.
Mm-hmm.
But once I read the other 2, I was like, well, I really should reread this one now that I have all the context.
Yeah, makes sense. Much like I did with, episode, Empire Strikes Back. I said, well, hold on. Now I realize it's a trilogy. I should really, before I watch episode 6, I might as well watch New Hope and Empire Strikes Back again, which I was happy to do. I had watched those probably, at least close to 5 times each.
Yeah. And then, through the early 90s, there began to be video games. Jim and I watched those, mainly X-Wing and TIE Fighter. X-Wing, I don't recall actually having a whole lot of plot, but TIE Fighter did. And TIE Fighter was an interesting experiment because you were the bad guys. The Empire is objectively the bad guys, but you are a TIE Fighter pilot, and you're working sometimes you deal with Grand Admiral Thrawn, sometimes you dealt with the Emperor, sometimes you're dealing with some shadowy figures you send you on other special missions, and then you're having to deal with a civil war within the Empire. There's a couple different admirals that try to break away, and there's some plot and then the book that came with it gives you this spiel about how your job is to enforce peace throughout the galaxy, because there's this civil war, so you're going to go and you're going to make them figure it out, and it all sounds all noble and everything, and you're like, wait, that's the Empire, but you see how people could serve the Empire and think they were the good guys, because they are the government.
They're not seeing the whole picture. Right?
Yeah,
they can't see the whole picture.
And I'm sure the core systems never hear about the atrocities the Empire is committing. They only hear about the rebels. They think they're terrorists. But so there's a lot of that going on. And then that eventually led to the Rebel Assault games and games like Dark Forces, which was a first-person shooter. It was more than just a Doom clone. It was beyond that at that point.
And then you have
Shadows of the Empire.
That was just after that, right? It was mid-90s.
Shadows of the Empire. Yes, mid to late 90s.
Yeah.
And at the time was considered canon.
Yeah.
Because it had a full court press. It had a video game, a book. It has a soundtrack.
It has a comic book series.
It has a comic book series. There were action figures. It was considered canon for a while.
Yeah. Which I think it's fine. I know
Jim and I both believe that they should make a canon again.
Yeah.
And just make an animated movie of it.
Yeah.
Because I don't think they do live action because Carrie Fisher's dead. She did play a role.
She did.
And Mark Hamill's getting up there. One thing about Harrison Ford, he's frozen in carbonite. So because it takes place between 5 and 6. So
yeah, which was a great idea, by the way. There's a great document out there. I think St. Million is maybe I sent it to you before, but he did an interview of the creators of the game, which then went into the whole effort itself, because it was a Lucas Arts, where you know what I mean. They have those divisions where they all were coordinating to have
the whole multimedia experience.
Yeah, which was in itself is pretty unique, right? You don't have too many instances where it's viable and then it's actually completed to have this happen and for it to be in Star Wars, it makes sense. But that's where I came in for the games, was N64. I had some of the older,
Shadows of the Empire is on the N64.
It is. And it was cool. And that's when I realized, I'm in Empire Strikes Back. And I'm like, this is so cool. This is amazing. Because there's just different perspectives a lot of the time of the movie in Shadows of the Empire. and then Rogue Squadron, which also had pretty lore-accurate going-ons. And you were just part of Rogue Squadron and what they did outside of the movies and such.
Yes, and I know for us, they released the special editions of the original trilogy in theaters.
Oh,
so that was around, I think, 96 or 97. Mm-hmm. And so I know Jimmy and I went to go watch A New Hope together, and then I ended up watching that too. Cool. And then
that's cool.
But then that was leading into in '99. That's whenever the Phantom Menace came out.
Yeah.
And I know. Pretty sure I mentioned this before, but we knew ahead of time. It was such a big deal. We knew what movie the trailers were in front of, and so people went to go watch. It was Meet Joe Black. I didn't go watch it, but people went to go watch Meet Joe Black just to watch the trailer for the Phantom Menace, and then they left.
That's crazy.
And then eventually it wound up on the internet. I was able to watch it there, but because I wasn't going to watch Meet Joe Black. I did finally watch it years later. It's an okay movie. But then the second trailer was in front of Wing Commander. And
Okay.
I knew of Wing Commander because Chris played it, and he told me about the games, but I never played them. I don't know if you want to, I don't know if it's irony or serendipity, but Mark Hamill's the main character in those.
Oh, wow.
So it's him.
Okay.
It's him and Biff from Back to the Future.
Oh my gosh.
They're like the main characters. In the game, not in the movie. In the movie, it's Freddie Prinze Jr. and Matthew Lillard.
They probably couldn't afford it. All right, I guess those are still kind of famous people.
So I think I went to watch the movie twice, and the second time, knowing it was not a great movie, was purely just to see the trailer again. And so like that's how much hype existed, that we were going to watch movies we did not care about just to see a trailer.
That's crazy.
And I think that might have happened here with the Avengers Doomsday trailer, because I don't remember what movie they put it in front of, but they said what movie it's going to be in front of.
But I don't think it's at the same level.
It's nowhere near the level of hype, but
yeah.
but the fact that they thought that it could be something approaching that. And
Yeah.
I think some people did indulge them on that.
Yeah.
But yeah. Now once we got to Attack of the Clones, I did go watch one movie to see the trailer. I think it was Robots or something, and this is an okay movie. But then I saw Attack of the Clones, and I was like,
What do you? Yeah, because personally, I always tell one of my friends it's his favorite, and I'm like, buddy, you just got like rose tinted glass. Like I'm telling you, if you rewatch that, you will not like it as much. He's like, no, I'm pretty sure I like it.
Yeah.
And we watched episode 1 together and episode 3, but we haven't watched episode 2 together. And I recently watched it, and I'm like, it's not, as a Star Wars fan, it's fine, but as a movie, it's really just okay, and you could probably just not skip it, but you could probably just watch it once and then just remember it if you want to have a full picture of the lore.
Yeah, my opinions of the prequels have of 1 and 2 have gone all over the place. 3 I've thought is as good as the original trilogy from the first time I saw it.
Yeah, I like 3.
My opinion has not changed.
Yeah.
But 1 and 2, now this is partially because there was a few times I went to the theater, there was nothing else on.
Okay.
I saw 1 7 times in its original run.
All right, that's...
And then I watched it in 3D just before Disney bought it. Now that was an experiment, because Episode 1 is the only one of their prequels that's on film.
Yeah.
The other 2 are digital.
Yeah.
Which is probably how your uncle was able to get a copy so early, because a digital projector you could hook up to an output, and so people would probably do it. It was beaten to theaters. It was not the first all digital movie. It was beat to theaters by, I believe it's Jason X. It's
Jason X?
Jason X or Freddy vs. Jason. I think it's Jason X.
The blue one that we talked about?
Yes.
Wow.
Friday the 13th Part 10. Jason goes to space.
And throws it up.
I'm sure someone at Lucasfilm that just burns their ass that was the first,
that's true.
The first digital movie like that.
That's crazy.
So I watched The Phantom Menace because I was like, okay, well if they're 3D-ifying this, they're going to go all the way through the movies, and so 4, 5, and 6 are going to be back in theaters at some point. And so I want to know how it looks. So if this one looks competent, I know 4, 5, and 6 will.
Yeah.
Because it's film and they're film. Like I had no doubt 2 and 3 would, because they're digital. You can do things with digital movies to make them 3D. But a film, different story. And it looked decent. You know, there's scenes, there's depth, the pod racing, and some other scenes.
Yeah.
But that was the 8th time I watched it. And then it was re-released in theaters a year or 2 ago for its anniversary. And I watched it there the 9th time. And I almost was like, I should just turn around and go back and just watch it for the 10th time just to get it over with. But I had to go do something, like I never made it back. And then I saw Attack of the Clones twice in theaters. I saw Revenge of the Sith 6 times in theaters.
Yeah. So that's I mean, I think that speaks, that's why you're saying it, right?
It's 5 in the original run. Yeah. And by the 5th time, I believe I actually already owned it on home video.
Yeah.
But it was a case of like, this is a theater movie.
Yeah,
and then it was re-released for its anniversary here last year, and I went to go watch it then. And I almost also walked back into watching it because I like that one so much.
Yeah, that's the thing. Star Wars, for me, I had not seen Phantom Menace in theaters before until last year, and I had always liked the Phantom Menace, but I had not seen it as an adult.
Yeah.
Watching it as an adult, I actually still like it quite a bit, and I think Jar Jar's fine. I think it is definitely goofy, and I usually don't like to do this, but I don't like to watch like YouTube videos or something about the movies themselves. I did watch some of it behind the scenes of the making of Episode 1, which was really cool, but I usually don't like to do that because I feel like especially for Star Wars, I like that magic where it just takes me somewhere else. I just get immersed in the universe of Star Wars, whether it's just the movies or the extended universe. But I had seen something where somebody was saying, if you just had Jar Jar not speak, the movie would actually be better. And I'm like, I could believe that after watching it in theaters. I said, you know what? If he was just around, like, as an alien, like, sort of a bit of comic relief, and just didn't, like, speak or speak less often even.
Or if he's like Chewbacca, where we don't get subtitles or anything.
That's
we
right.
Tell from context clues what they're saying.
Like R2-D2 does, right?
Yeah.
Like the little beeps. Stuff like that. That makes a lot of sense to me, and I think that would have made the movie a bit better, actually. But I still love The Phantom Menace, and I still really like Episode 3. I agree. Episode 3 was great. I also watched that last year in theaters, and I just realized the last, like, hour of that movie is amazing. It's like a crazy, like, super opera. It's like just so much drama is going on, so much is on the line. You have a great score. I mean, that's also a huge part of Star Wars for me, is I loved the music when I was a little kid, and I just like it even more now, and respect Jones even more, that they could have something be this iconic and then have a soundtrack that's probably the most recognizable. I would say it's got to be one of the most recognizable soundtracks around the world, around the entire planet, because you don't have to have a language, you just understand it.
Yeah, I know I've seen a lot of memes about that, where it's like, John Williams getting ready to score The Phantom Menace, and he's like, hold my beer. When he makes Duel of Fates, yeah.
I mean, and it was amazing. Seeing that in theaters, I'm like, it was the opposite of The Shining. I felt the energy. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be so sick, like, to actually see this in theaters. And it was.
Yeah, like I said, like, my views kind of oscillated. Like, The Phantom Menace, by the time after I watched it the 7th time in its original run, there was definitely, like, a little while there where I was like, that actually wasn't a great movie.
Yeah.
I definitely bought into I didn't think it was trash.
Yeah.
But I definitely was like, this was definitely a lesser film. And it wasn't until it might not even been until I saw it again in 3D, when I was like, actually, this movie's not a bad movie. This is an eminently watchable movie.
Yep.
And like Jim said repeatedly, like, that one feels like the other Star Wars movies.
It does.
We got the fantastic locations. We got the battles. We got the it feels like the others.
Multiple alien races that fit well.
It feels like it's the high fantasy disguised as sci-fi concept.
Yeah.
And then Attack of the Clones, at the time I thought was okay, but I think my opinion has just gone downhill ever since then.
Yeah.
And just like, Jim always talks about how all the battle scenes look like they're PlayStation 2 cutscenes. And then, like, there's the reasons there's some of the terrible dialogue between Anakin and Padme.
Mm-hmm. It makes sense a bit lore-wise, I'll say, because I guess I'm from the generation where I do like the prequels, even though I recognize Attack of the Clones is bad.
Yeah.
But there's character motivations that make sense, but you have to be so into the lore to, like, even think, like, it's just not well done. It's just not well done.
Like, it's one of those where, like, the first time I saw it, like, the fight between Dooku and Yoda looked awesome.
Yeah.
And then, like, the more I think about it, I'm just like, I think this might actually lessen Yoda. Because, like, in the other movies, like, he doesn't need a lightsaber. Like,
no, that's true.
The Force is his ally. And, like, here it's like, this was really just a cheap thing. Like, it still looks great. Like, and I want to see Christopher Lee in action.
Me too, yeah.
And that's one of my criticisms over all of the prequel trilogy is I feel like he was wasted.
I love Count Dooku, too, and he was very cool.
I feel like we didn't get the Clone Wars.
He was hyped up. He was
they start in the end of part 2 and they end in the beginning of part 3.
Yeah.
And I don't know the reason, because Lucas was already planning on the cartoon at that point.
I had heard, and I love, that's actually another thing I just talked to my coworker about, because I've been trying to rewatch that. I haven't watched that in a while. And that was something I was involved in, keeping up on every episode, because I love Cartoon Network already. And it was just like, I'm like, oh my gosh, they have Star Wars now and a cartoon, and I like Samurai Jack. It's the same Andy Tarkovsky or something. And that was canon, right, at the time. It was definitely canon.
The original one was.
Yeah.
And I think it still kind of is.
It must be.
Just like, I think some of the Force powers were supposed to look kind of like video games.
Yeah.
Where the Force powers are exaggerated. Like,
For sure.
What you can do in the video game is because it's a video game. Those, like, the plot is canon. Some of the specific events and powers are not.
Like Yoda when he just is...
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing, though. I feel like they do reference in the extended universe pretty often that the Force is theoretically unlimited and ancient Sith, and in the Old Republic, the Force was like
some of the,
flowing more
some of the ancient
strongly.
Sith, like Nagasaki,
yeah.
But it's also because he had his meditation sphere also had things that allowed him to do it. But he could cause a star to go nova.
Yeah, like hyper focus the Force.
Yeah, that's one of those deals where it's a matter of. I think some of that is, hey, let's show more wild stuff.
Yeah.
But I also think it's people taking Vader too literally from A New Hope whenever he says the ability to destroy a planet is nothing next to the power of the Force. He doesn't literally mean, oh, you think a planet's destroyed. Like, oh, if only you knew.
And it's not Darth Nihilus.
Yeah, no, what he means is, that's great. But if you really want to affect change, the Force will tell you exactly who and where you need to.
Yes, yeah.
Because
a force of change.
Because Mace Windu's Shatterpoint ability.
Yeah.
That's a demonstration of it guides him. It allows him to see lines of causality. And so that's one of the reasons why I kind of suspected Palpatine, because everything converged into him.
Yeah. He could see that aura.
But at the same time, he's but he is the Supreme Chancellor, so I would expect that. He's he never fully rationalize it.
That's right.
And but it tells him you need to hit here now to cause this effect. That's the power of the Force. That's what Vader's really talking about, is to know the small moves that you need to make to have wide-reaching outcomes. That's the whole, because destroying a planet, okay, that shows Force. You destroy the planet, everyone on it's dead. Great. What do you do now? You've shifted things, sure, but knowing that if I kill this guy over here or help this guy or whatever, and he will then go on to invent something which is going to do this thing, which is ultimately going to do this, which is going to cause the downfall of the Empire. That is a far more powerful ability than just the brute force of the Death Star.
And that's where Darth Nihilus is a lesson in the Force. To even have that ability, they're basically nothing. They're literally a scar in the Force that has no individuality. They're just an after effect of something terrible in the Force. And even then, they're not crushing a planet. They're just sucking the life out of a planet. And that's just because it's just a void in the Force. So I don't think anybody gets to that level in the Clone Wars anyways, but there's definitely scenes where things are okay, they did that, the speed thing. They did that in Phantom Menace. But it's you don't do that for 15 minutes and then you can also punch through steel the Mace Windu does that.
Whenever he takes out the whole army.
It was cool when I was a little kid. This is amazing. But I can definitely see why that you don't want to take that so literally as strict canon, you said. Yeah. Yeah,
because I think the way Lucas originally intended to portray the Force in the original trilogy was a lot closer to how magic works in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Because everyone's oh, where's the lightning balls and the lightning bolts and fireballs and everything. Gandalf can do that.
Yeah.
But that's not what that's not where the real source of his power is.
Yeah.
The real source of his power, and this is the same with Sauron and Saruman and all the others, is to be able to potentially foresee events. Not all events, because he's very clear that even the wise cannot foresee all events.
Yeah.
He means that. But to be able to foresee events and to be able to know what small changes they can make now that will propagate and grow throughout the centuries.
Yeah.
The changes they make to reality. And so in the case of with Sauron, it's creating the ring.
Yep.
And but he had to build up to that. He had to make the other rings first, because the ring enables him to control the bearers of the other rings. So he can win through brute force with the army of the orcs, or he can just control the other rulers, and then he de facto wins anyway.
As I say, and that's real dominance, right? Because there's only so long that they could have a brutal empire of orcs ruling everything.
I mean, that could probably last until the orcs just implode or whatever, because Sauron's already 50,000 years old.
Well, that's true, right?
But his boss, Morgoth.
Yeah.
His effects were in actually changing things. He created some of the dark creatures by twisting other creatures.
Yeah, he couldn't create anything from scratch.
Right, and so like they twisted some elves into the orcs, which then throughout time, eventually there's millions of the damn things.
Yeah.
You know, like it's things like that. You know, it's creating the fortress of Barad-dûr because it's going to last as long as Sauron lasts. You know, it's things like that, and you see it with the elves as well. Like, you know, one of the things that's maintaining the elven cities is the 3 elven rings.
Oh, for sure.
And so, like, that's the other thing is people, like, it appears, I don't know if Tolkien ever actually confirmed this, but part of the reason that Sauron is such a huge threat is because everyone else has been expending their magic all this time.
Mm-hmm.
And he has essentially created a loophole with the ring, so he can both have his power and use it.
Yes, that's true.
But it's also being preserved instead of expended like everyone else because of the ring.
Yeah.
And it also magnifies his power. And so because of that, everyone else is becoming weaker because once their power has been used, it's gone. They have a finite reserve of it. And so they're becoming weaker, but he is not.
Which builds up the importance of humanity, right? In the end of, to end the Third Age, when it does, it's like it has to happen at that time, right? Yeah. It has to.
And he's been waging, like, the movies don't talk about this a lot, but he's been waging a war against Gondor for 1,000 years. Like he's been unleashing plagues. Like we're literally just seeing the end game. And the movies come close, but if you read the books, you appreciate that. Like, no, these people, they're in the apocalypse.
Yes.
Like, this is it. This is the final battle for
That's
good
right.
and all.
Yeah.
And, like, it's coming. Like, the orcs are coming. Sauron controls large chunks of the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's where all those other people came from. They worship him like a god.
Yeah.
Or his boss. And Sauron's surprisingly loyal, actually, because after his boss was thrown into the void, he still promoted worship of him.
Morgoth?
Yeah, because Sauron took over Numenor at one point.
I didn't realize that.
The first big battle at Barad-dûr against the army of the orcs and everything.
Yeah.
Sauron goes out and surrenders. And they're like, what? It's like, all right, well, we're taking you back to Numenor as a prisoner. And so Elrond is like, look, this is a mistake.
Yeah.
Whatever you do not listen to him. He is Sauron, the deceiver.
Yeah.
He'll use his honeyed words. It's like, so I can count on you on this one, right, guys? And they're like, sure thing, boss. Elrond comes back.
Oh, man, I didn't know.
Say, I couldn't help but notice that your chief advisor is now Sauron. What are you doing? Like, get out of here, pointy ear. And so then Sauron convinces them, he's like, hey, guys, the elves are immortal. Beings like me are immortal. Why aren't you immortal? They're keeping the secret from you. It's in the Grey Havens across the oceans. Go and take it. So they take the army and sail off with the fleet to go attack heaven, essentially. And so then, the Manwë, who is the highest of those level of beings, he's the one just below Eru.
Okay.
He's like, well, now what the hell do we do? Like, they're attacking heaven. Like, what do we do? So he sends his like magic eagles to go fight Sauron.
Yeah. And
Sauron goes to the top of the temple building and uses his powers because his powers involve nullifying other magic powers. Okay. And so he's able to defeat them. Okay. And they're just like, they go to Ear and we give up. Like, we have lost the plot. Help us. And Ear's like, I will, but you will forever lose any influence over Middle Earth.
Oh, whoa.
You will have to leave. Everything will be vested in my power because you have now learned the lesson that you can't be me.
Oh, that's cool.
And so they're like, all right. He's like, all right, well, here's my first action. He destroys the fleet. And then he's like, obviously Sauron's a problem, so I'm going to hurdle a meteor at Numenor. And
he just destroys
Numenor.
Oh,
and Sauron is essentially laughing as it's happening.
Because they know,
the ring is back in Mordor. It won't be destroyed. Oh. And all it does is it destroys that physical form. Because to beings like him and like Gandalf, their form is like a
their spirit, right?
Yeah, they can change their forms at will. But if they're destroyed in that form, they can never assume that form again. So this was what they call his fine form, where he looked basically like an elf. And after that's whenever he took on the ruined, armored form that you see. Yeah. And that's whenever what was left of the other parts of the kingdoms of Numenor rallied around and gathered the elves and went to go attack because they're like, we've got to destroy Sauron. That's the battle that you see at the beginning of
The Second
at the
Age?
beginning of the Fellowship.
Yeah, that's the end of the Second Age, right?
Right.
Isildur and stuff. Oh,
Yeah, and
wow, cool.
it probably didn't end with them, like, it probably wasn't ended by him chopping his finger off. It was more like,
Oh, okay.
it was more like the Middle Earth's version of the Avengers. The six guys, like, just gang piled in, and then two of them were left alive at the end. Isildur and Elrond.
Elrond, yeah.
He managed to kill the other four.
Okay.
And they talk about, like, the Black Hand of Sauron. I don't know what it is, but he literally grabs one of them and just incinerates him with his hand.
Holy
It's why it's called the Black Hand. That's why even in the movie you see it's got, like, a black tint.
Oh, yeah.
So it wasn't until that form was battered and destroyed, and then they took the ring off of it and, went to Mount Doom. And then Isildur couldn't destroy it. But the reason that Elrond didn't kill him, by the way, because everyone's like, why didn't he just kill him and push him in or something? Like, Elrond knew that he couldn't do that because that would be like him trying to take the ring.
Yes.
But also, he's
yeah.
related to Elrond.
Isildur?
Yes. Because the founder of the line of Numenor was Elrond's brother. Because Elrond and his brother, they're not the children, I believe they're the grandchildren of Beren and Luthien.
Is that why Aragorn speaks Elvish?
Yes. Beren and Luthien.
Wow, cool.
Beren was a mortal man, and he fell in love with the elven princess Luthien. And he had to perform this great deed, which he succeeded.
Yeah.
And so his father allowed him to marry her, and then their children had the choice of to live as an elf or a man.
Yeah.
And then I think, like I said, I think Elrond and his brother are their grandchildren, and his brother chose to live as a man. But he still has, some of the elven stuff, and so he lived for a couple hundred years.
Yeah.
He's the founder of the line of Numenor. So Aragorn is several people removed related to Elrond. And that's why his daughter, that's why she's able to choose a mortal life. She gives up her mortality. So she will die of old age or something. It'll be a while out there. Like, hell, Aragorn lives to like 200 something.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where that all works out. So
cool. Well, see now, speaking of Lord of the Rings as a trilogy, which my dad also really liked quite a bit, and I remember watching with him. I didn't watch Fellowship, but I watched The Two Towers.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, Lord of the Rings is sick. And then one of my closest friends, his older brother he spoke Elvish. He loved Lord of the Rings. And I watched the movies at their house, and then they watched I hadn't watched the extended editions until just recently. I watched The Fellowship, which I think is the best one, personally. I love The Fellowship. It's great, especially extended edition. And I watched Return of the King extended edition in theaters. I watched Two Towers extended at home, because I got it on DVD. I got all three extended on DVD.
Yeah.
But as a trilogy, I also watched out of order, and then I watched it in order. But it wasn't the same sense that I got in Star Wars. I was very interested, but I wasn't as enthralled in like the possibility of like the universe. I know because Star Wars is literally like a galactic scale. You're at a galactic scale, which kind of helps a little bit. But that makes me think, which I also wanted to get into, but I don't want to get into too much because I want to make it a super long video. I watched, for the only time I watched a trilogy of Star Wars in order was the Disney trilogy. And that didn't turn out so good, you know what I'm saying? So it's disappointing that was my only experience of waiting for something new in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Having episode 7, which I liked, and then I watched it again and I said, I actually kind of like it a little bit less because there's some silly stuff going on. I really didn't like how... I actually kind of liked Rey because I thought it was cool. She's she had a story of struggles that was a mystery at the time, and I thought it was a little too mysterious, and it was weird how everything just came together. Like, even though that happens in Star Wars, but it was like rushed. I don't know how to describe it. It just felt like a little too perfect.
More on the nose.
Yeah, a little too perfect for these things to be happening. Where I would have liked it if it was just like her and Finn maybe for a little while, getting things ready, and like they find out she's got powers and she's got like she was adept at the Force. Like, that's fine, but maybe not the level that she was at. Like how she could hold her own against Kylo Ren. I thought that was a little silly because you get hyped up that Kylo Ren's literally of the bloodline of Darth Vader, right? Like he must be strong in the Force, and he's had training from Snoke. So that was kind of silly actually. But I was looking forward to, I don't even know what it's called. What's the second movie?
Last Jedi.
The Last Jedi. And I actually liked it at first too, and then I thought about it. I didn't even watch it again. I thought about it, I'm like, that movie's actually really like, what the hell happened in that movie? Because I thought it was so dumb when Snoke died, But then the fight was cool, so I kind of forgot about it. But then I'm like, why did they do that? And then they had all these things going on where I really also didn't like how she blew up the ship, because I also felt like I know enough about Star Wars lore. Like, I'm like, wait, they've never done this before, but they could have done this the whole time. Like, why didn't they do that like into the Death Star or something?
Yeah.
So these things came up where I'm like, that was actually a pretty bad movie. Then when I watched Rise of Skywalker, I was like, this is just a poorly made film. The story is garbage, and this is how like I was telling you earlier, I saw men who were like definitely in their 60s, and they just looked kind of sad. And my friend I was with, he was like, it was all right. And I'm like, I'm gonna be honest, dude, I did not like that movie. And that's right after coming out of a Star Wars film in theater, a brand new Star Wars movie coming out of the theaters, and you go, yeah, it was bad. That is not normal. That's not normal. That's not what I expected watching Episode 7. That's what would happen, 4 years later, 5 years later. And I'd be like, man, I didn't like that movie. That's disappointing. That's a shame.
Yeah, I had checked out by 9 because whenever I saw 8, like the honeymoon period was approximately 24 hours. I remember it was the next day, and I was like starting to think some things through. Like I already wasn't impressed with it.
Yeah,
so I was like, okay, I guess. And then like the next day, I started to think some things through, and like saw some people's comments. And I was like, they're right. And then finally, just like, God, that was bad. Like that was just genuinely bad. Like I was like, I had my problems with 7, but like it was watchable.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until later that I realized like some of the foundational problems in 7.
Oh, for sure,
But like with 8, it's like, like I'm not even sure I actually care how this ends at this point. Like there's no way to salvage this.
Well, the resistance was so lame too. It was it was like a whimper of the Rebel Alliance, but somehow the stakes were higher. Like it made no sense. It made no sense, really.
Well, there's that, and I was like, obviously Kylo's our main villain. She beat him in the first movie. He didn't beat her in this movie.
He didn't mature or change either.
I'm like, he will not be a challenge in Part 9, but they're going to present him as one. Like, and for some reason she's going to be like, oh, and I'm like, I don't know why.
Yeah, she feared him so much in that.
And it's like, no, like he's not a challenge. Like, unless something radical happens, he's not a challenge. So who will the challenge be? And it's like, well, it can't be General Hux because they completely humiliated
what
him in this movie.
Garbage character too.
Like in 7, it was like this guy is getting shit done. Like
I liked him. I thought it was kind of cool.
Then at 8, that opening call with Snow where he just throws him around the bridge, I'm just like, no one will take him seriously.
It was
like,
so
he better die in this movie, and he didn't. And then he had his moment where he could redeem himself. Where Kylo Ren is unconscious, he's like contemplating shooting him. He's like, this will wreck the franchise, but like this is what should happen right now.
Yeah, it would be cool.
I would respect the hell out of it.
You're bringing back a lot of memories because I will never watch those again. But that speaks to the fact that you've watched all the prequels even multiple times. And even the worst one out of all of them you've seen twice.
I saw 7 twice in theaters.
Oh, you did? Okay.
But 8 and 9, I watched them one time, and I don't think I've actually watched. I know I have not watched 9 at all since then.
It's a terrible movie.
Like every once in a great while, like bits and pieces of 8, like I'll start to, and I'm like, no. Like I'm gonna have to at some point because of the video chat Jimmy and I talk about doing, but like it's gonna be a struggle. Like I might actually drink while I'm watching that.
It was really like you how you had some people clapping. I don't really get that too much, but I could get that from something like Star Wars.
I don't understand clapping in a theater.
Yeah,
I get it. You're happy, but like no one that made the movie is here.
Yeah. I think it's a little silly. Personally,
no one is hearing this. Like, what are you people doing?
I'm not going to tell somebody to be quiet, but I think it's silly. Yeah. Very few people clap. People clapped after Episode 8 actually, and people clapped after Episode 7. But I remember specifically people. It was just an air of disappointment after Episode 9. Yeah. You had a couple people clap, but it was almost made it more sad because it was like 6 people clapping, and it was the theater sold out, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, like with 8, it was just a lot of scenes that in the moment the scene was cool or funny. Like whenever she hands Luke the lightsaber and just chucks it over her shoulder. Like in the moment, like that was kind of funny. But like the more I thought about it, it's like
silly.
But no, that doesn't make any sense. Why would he do that?
Yeah,
like I guess it works for the joke, but like it doesn't work for the movie.
Yeah.
And then there's the hyperspace ramming, and it's like
I really did not like that.
If you could do this,
I really did not like that.
They would just strap hyperdrives to rocks. And
it was really dumb.
You know, and it's like, and that's the kinds of things that happen in those movies. They're made by people that have seen the original movies. that had ideas, but never considered like, but if you could do this, what would logically flow from being able to do that?
Yeah.
How does this disrupt the other movies?
Yeah.
It's like when they introduced like force healing is a thing in the EU.
Yeah, it is. It's difficult. It's not easy to do.
Like, so them introducing it in the movie isn't a big problem until you start to consider, well, shouldn't the Jedi during the Clone Wars have had this power? Because that's them at the height of their powers. And if they would have had those powers, wouldn't Anakin have been like, I can just force heal Padme whenever she has these troubles later on? In my vision. Like the thought would have occurred to him at least. And there's no evidence that was ever a thought anywhere, because no one does force healing at any point.
Well, in the EU, some people do, but it's usually very specialized people, first of all. Yeah. They have to have like a gift for it almost. And it's like they don't have other powers. Rey has everything and force healing, which is like...
I just know I've seen the meme picture. It's like Anakin's like, I had a bad dream, like you died in childbirth. And she's like, but you just use your force healing. He's like, oh yeah. And then it's cuts the credits because that's the end of the movie. And... it's just it's things like that. It's like that's a problem with an ongoing series where you start to introduce new elements, and you're like, okay, you need to do that obviously, but like they need to be elements that logically follow, and like there's no reason that we would have seen them before then, because now you're like, okay, why? It's like just briefly, the original trilogy, the first movie, the Rebels have X-wings and Y-wings.
Yeah, A-wings.
The Empire has TIE fighters.
Yeah.
And then in the next movie, we see the TIE bombers.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so, the Battle of the Death Star, why would you have bombers? There's a reason why they're not there, but they probably existed already. And the Rebels still have the X-Wings and Y-Wings because we don't see anything new from them. And then the Return of the Jedi, okay, they've got the B-Wings and the A-Wings. Clearly, they got more ships at some point.
Yeah.
But there's no one claiming, like, oh, we've had these all along. It's like, well, then why weren't they at the Battle of Yavin? Like, they bypass all that by showing the Rebel fleet's bigger, so it stands to reason that they have new stuff. And the Empire has the TIE interceptors.
Yeah,
and there's never any reason to suspect, like, well, why didn't they just use those in the first Death Star?
Yeah.
Because they hadn't made them yet, because they're making them now.
Yeah.
Although Andor throws a slight monkey wrench and all that, because Andor takes place before New Hope, and they're already building the TIE Avenger, which is the interceptor but with missiles and shields and a hyperdrive. So the interceptor probably did exist at that point. But
it could have been like one of those things where the fleet that had it was not there.
They just hadn't deployed them to the Death Star yet. Yeah, probably because the whole goal is to replace all the TIE fighters with interceptors at some point. Because the interceptors are faster and have literally twice as much fire.
I have heard that in the EU, right? Like that was the thing. Yeah, but I also heard that the A-wing, like they're so I think the TIE bomber. Because isn't Vader in a TIE Advance, which is like the TIE bomber, basically in Episode 4?
The TIE Advanced, and this is also a kind of some screwy thing with the Andor's timeline.
Yeah.
The TIE Advanced is also the basis for the Avenger, I believe.
Okay.
So, but we don't know how long Vader has had his TIE Advanced, because he has it in Rebels. So, so it already exists, so it's already out there.
Yeah.
But his is essentially the prototype, because it's got shields and the
makes sense.
Hyperdrive and everything.
Yeah. Okay. So you have those things.
So whenever you introduce new elements, you have to be clear that like they did not exist prior.
Yeah.
That's why you didn't see them.
To a reasonable extent, right?
Yeah. Exactly. And so then when you introduce something that doesn't appear to be a new force power, then you're like, so then people did have it before. We've just somehow never seen it.
Yeah.
And the problem is, if it was just the original trilogy, you could do that, because we only have Obi-Wan, Luke, Vader, and the Emperor.
Very few force.
So like when it comes to Return of the Jedi, and all of a sudden the Emperor's throwing around Force lightning, you're like, holy shit, where did this come from?
Yeah.
Like, well, Vader couldn't do it because he's a robot. Like, it would fry his ass.
Makes sense.
And it's an evil power, so that's why Obi-Wan never used it. Mm-hmm. So, we're introduced to this guy who's more powerful than Vader, like, so of course he can do some crazy shit.
And you don't have to be that detailed, right? There's not that level of detail.
Yeah, we've had no forewarning.
Yeah.
But since we also have the prequel trilogy, if there are Jedi powers out there, we would probably have seen them there, because again, that's the Jedi at the height of their powers.
Yeah.
Unless we specifically somehow say, no, this is a newly discovered force power later on.
Yeah.
But that's not the way the force healing is treated, so...
Yeah, and that's the thing. There are people who go like, oh, it's nitpicking, and it's like, well, not really, because how I was talking about in the beginning of the movie, like, I was immersed in Star Wars. I felt very immersed. The more you learned about Star Wars, even just from the movies, the more it was like an kind of an insult to the fans' intelligence that they would just go along with it. That it's like, yeah, all right, that's fine.
Yeah.
Because it's really not. It's really not. It
Right.
doesn't sit right with people.
Yeah, there's to a certain level, it is nitpicking. When you're talking like,
Yeah,
when you see a
that's what I'm
movie and
saying.
you're like, oh, that clock is 5 minutes different, and it was only
Yeah.
a minute past. Like, that's nitpicking.
Yeah.
Yes, someone should have caught that, but that is nitpicking, especially now that you can change it digitally. But like, did you see the Stranger Thing? Did you watch Stranger Things?
I've watched it. I didn't watch season 5 yet.
Okay, so I'm not going to go into spoilers here,
Yeah.
but my nephew and I did a video on it, and he asked me at one point about like the D&D stuff that got wrong.
Okay.
And I was like, well, I'm going to tell you, but understand that like I do feel like I'm just nitpicking. Like this doesn't detract from the enjoyment of the show.
Yeah.
So it's ultimately irrelevant that they got these things wrong. And then I explained like the things that were wrong, because like there's things I noticed. But they have nothing to do with whether or not you enjoy the show. And that's not the same as a show that's making up its stuff as it goes, like Star Wars, where, yeah, there's some things like, I don't know, if a character all of a sudden has a different call sign in the final battle or something, I don't think that happened. We're just throwing it out there. Like, that's a plot hole, but it's a tiny one that's not detracting from the movie. What would be is if all of a sudden the character's in an entirely different kind of ship.
Yeah.
And there are people out there who would be trying to defend that. Like, it's just a movie, or it's a fantasy movie.
Not a good argument.
And they're like, and it's like, well, no, that's not actually a valid argument.
Yeah.
People, like, I see people all the time. There was a gentleman who posted this very lengthy post on Twitter, and I saved it. He's talking about, like, I see these arguments about movies all the time, and, like, here's why they're shit arguments. It just goes down through them. And that's one of them, is dude, it's just a fantasy movie. The rules don't matter. It's like, no, the rules actually matter even more.
Yeah.
Because that's the only reason anyone cares.
Exactly.
Because you've built a structure for this story to exist within. And once you start breaking that, then we know that literally anything can happen. So your narrative is dissolving.
Yeah.
And if there's no rules, there's no stakes.
Yeah, what if you had if you had an action film based in reality and somebody just used the Force?
Right.
And you'd be like, well, this makes no sense and this movie's garbage because it makes no sense.
If there's no explanation somehow.
Yeah.
Like if there's some explanation somehow, maybe it works. But like if there's nothing, and then no one comments on it.
Yeah.
Like people see someone just openly use telekinesis, they just act like that's normal, just go on their day. It's like, what just happened there?
Yeah.
It totally breaks the immersion of the movie. And some people don't notice some of these things. Okay.
Yeah.
There are some people that are just like,
illiterate.
They're just watching purely for entertainment.
Yeah.
And little details they don't care. And that's totally fine. But it's whenever those people are like, why do you care? And it's like, it doesn't matter, first of all, but second of all, I do. That's all that matters. Like, I'm not criticizing you for not caring.
Exactly, yeah.
So
I'm allowed to care.
I care. If you like the movie, you like the movie. Like, people like the sequel trilogy. I don't have any problem with people who like the sequel trilogy. I'm glad that there are people that like it, for the most part, aside from the fact that they feed it money, which might make more crap. But, like, from a, hey, this thing exists, I'm glad someone likes it. I actually do kind of feel bad for them because this year was the 10th anniversary of
was it 2015? Yeah, 2015.
Yeah, last year was the 10th anniversary of episode 7.
Yeah.
And they didn't put it back in theaters.
Because garbage.
And I feel bad for them on that front because everyone knows next year they're putting A New Hope back in theaters.
Yeah, imagine having those two in contrast.
Because it's the 50th anniversary.
Yeah. Imagine having them look back. You have the fans go, wow, I remember I watched episode 7 last year. Yeah. This movie blows it out of the water.
Right, and that's why they don't do it. And so I do actually feel bad for people that like the movie. Yeah. I mean, because I see movies that I'm like, wow, they put that back in the theater? Like we were in the theater earlier. And they're going to have the Super Mario Brothers movie. Not the animated one. The live action one from the 90s with Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo. And I'm just like, oh my God, that is not a good movie. But someone somewhere wants to see it in the theater, and it's going to happen.
Multiple.
And like, I don't know if that's going to happen with the sequel trilogy. And
which is a testament to it, right? A testament to its legacy to Star Wars fans is probably irrecoverable, if that's the term. It's almost certainly never going to have a fan base where you can take the fans of the sequel trilogy and then other Star Wars fans that don't like it, there's always going to be some tension there, I think, because I think it's unacceptable, actually. I think I basically don't accept it in my own canon, my own sense of canon. I just basically don't think about it. I don't think about them at all unless we talk about it. I truly don't think about Star Wars and think of the sequel trilogy at all.
I try not to, and the only time I do is when I watch the shows. Because,
I suppose.
Because I like some of the shows. Like, I think Andor is excellent.
Yeah, Andor is awesome.
But, like, even Ahsoka, and it's got problems, but Ahsoka at least feels like Star Wars.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
But the big problem is, I know where everything is going. We're going to wind up with the sequel trilogy at some point, and I absolutely hate that.
Yeah.
You know, like I watched like Skeleton Crew. Skeleton Crew.
Yeah, you watched that. Yeah.
Skeleton Crew was good. Skeleton Crew was the kind of show that Disney needed to make 10 years ago to get younger kids, to get the next batch of younger kids into Star Wars, because it is the Goonies in space.
It's because the Daniels love the Goonies.
Yeah, and I mean, like
good directors.
It's a decent show, you know, and it sidesteps a bunch of lore problems by the way it's structured, and everything that is in it fits in the lore, because the characters are on a planet that is literally like behind like a electric cloud kind of deal.
Oh, okay.
That has shielded them, and they're a mint. They've been making credits.
Oh,
all
okay.
this time. They've got these huge,
like the little rectangular
they've got huge vaults full of them on the planet, but no one from the Republic ever showed up. And
that's reasonable.
So they get out and they're starting to talk to people, and they're like, "The Empire? What are you talking about?" And they're like, "I see we missed the Galactic Civil War, did we?" And they're like, "What?" Like, so they completely skipped the Imperial phase, and now they're in like like Ahsoka and Mandalorian time. So the Empire has fallen. The New Republic is now the deal.
But the first order is not explicitly mentioned.
Right, they're not
okay,
there yet. Right. And so they bypass all that, and so it's the characters learning about what's going on in the galaxy.
Yeah.
Because like one of them mentions Alderaan at some point, and someone's like, Alderaan, like, I see we're a little behind on events, are we? Like, wow. You'll figure it out.
That's like Terrace. When people talk about Terrace and the Old Republic, they're like, oh, everybody, Terrace is gone.
Yeah. And so it's a bunch of little things like that, but like the show is focused on the kids, the adventure, the pirates, like it all works, and it's a kid show. Like the Goonies in a few parts where it's like it's a little bad for a kid show.
Yeah.
But like it's the kind of show that like kids would watch this and see kids having an adventure in the Star Wars universe with space pirates, and it's like kids would watch this, which would lead them to want to see the other movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like it came out so long after the sequel trilogy, after Mandalorian season 3. It might have come out after The Acolyte, which that's like everyone. Like I know we all shit on 8 and 9, but like The Acolyte definitely hammered one of the final nails in the coffin.
Oh, I've heard it's terrible. My coworker who loves Star Wars, who has a Star Wars tattoo on their body, loves Star Wars, and is usually very lenient, and was like likes many things quite a bit from Disney. It does not like The Acolyte. That's gonna be a bad show.
The Acolyte is bad.
Yeah,
it's not the absolute dumpster fire.
Yeah.
But it is very close.
Yeah,
and like things happen in it, and like once you realize that like you're dealing with a Sith Lord, and this is like 100 years or 80, 100 years before the Phantom Menace.
Yeah,
there's a moment where you're like, everyone in the scene has to die, and people are like, "What do you mean?" Like, the Jedi think the Sith have been extinct for 1,000 years.
Yeah,
this is less than 1,000 years ago. Like, none of them can survive to report the fact they fought a Sith. And the worst part is, Ki-Adi-Mundi is there.
Oh my gosh! A council member too.
A council member, and I think he's even the council member who said, "But the Sith have been extinct for 1,000 years."
Gosh!
And so there's these guys who do these like kind of AI things, and like Qui-Gon's like a ghost, and like he's watching this, and he's like, "Huh." So I guess my best friend and council member just fucking lied to me.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous.
But like.
That's disrespectful, though. Actually, it's not ridiculous. That's disrespectful to the fans.
And everyone was even like, is that Ki-Adi-Mundi? Like, no, that's got to be someone else. Because we know from canon what his birth date is. He's not alive yet.
Oh, my
And so then they went in and edited the canon source from his birthday to make it so he was alive. And they're like, he could have just been another member of his species. Because they're like, what about that guy? It's like, is that Plo Koon? And they're like, no, that's just another member of the species. Like,
oh, okay.
However, Plo Koon was alive at that point in time. And so that could have been Plo Koon, and it's just like, you're just doing this to fuck with people.
Yeah,
like,
that's disrespectful.
No other explanation.
That's disrespectful.
And then Darth Plagueis is in like a split second of one episode.
I heard that.
And
And he's
like,
just like he's just his shadow, right?
And everyone's like, "Who's that?" And I was like, "That's Darth Plagueis, guys." Like,
Yeah.
quit pretending you don't know who that's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like, we all know, like, we're gonna fuck up his character too.
Well, good thing there's no season 2, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I felt so bad for the
I'll
guy,
never watch
the guy
it.
from Squid Game.
Oh yeah.
The main character in Squid Game, because he plays a guy in this show, like the only interesting character in the show, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I felt so bad because he like learned English for this role.
Oh,
And
wow.
he's in like one of the worst, like you do. They deserve to give you some other Star Wars.
Terrible legacy, yeah.
Like how Ahmed Best played Jar Jar.
Yeah.
He is in an episode of Ahsoka or The Mandalorian as a Jedi.
Oh, cool.
He's the Jedi that got Grogu out of the temple.
Cool.
At the end of Revenge of the Sith.
See, I don't hate Jar Jar. I know there are many Star Wars fans that like despise Jar Jar. I don't hate him.
That's another thing. Is like people always talk about Ahmed Best getting death threats and everything. Like,
yeah, that's ridiculous.
Like
I think
most of that did
that's
not come from the
ridiculous.
fans. That was the media that criticized him. And then later on, like, oh, you're toxic fans. Like, that was you, asshole.
Just
like,
racist people, yeah.
that was just going on because they were like, well, you know, like he's clearly supposed to be a Jamaican or something, and we're making fun of them, kind of like the Trade Federation. Like, oh, they're clearly Japanese. It's like, it's like, yeah, obviously they were inspired by them, but like, no.
Yeah, what are they supposed to like? Obviously, any film ever is taken from some other inspiration in reality. Like sci-fi is not just.
I do think Greedo was a little
miracle.
Greedo might have been a little too close to home.
Yeah,
he had the obviously kind of Jewish dialectic voice. He's got the giant.
Not
nose.
Greedo. Is it Greedo?
Not you're right.
Yeah, Greedo's the Rhodian.
Not Greedo.
Watto.
Yeah. And like then he even has the line where it's like, "Mind tricks don't work on me, only money."
Yeah,
it's like,
that's true.
That's a little like.
See, I didn't know that because I didn't know. I was so young.
There's a few too many stereotypes for Jewish people, like all rolled into one here for this to be coincidental. Like, I don't.
Yeah, as an adult, for sure.
But at the same time, like, but George Lucas works in Hollywood. Like, all the studios are controlled by Jewish people. Like,
yeah, I mean,
you know, like clearly, you know, someone saw this and was like, all right.
Yeah.
Although the movie was independently made, so you know, because he paid for the prequels out of his own pocket.
I heard. So that's the thing. I guess I'll bring it up real fast to just finish up on the sequel stuff and closer in general finishing up. But I do remember fans of the sequel trilogy, and I obviously I can't say that every fan was doing this, but I do remember there was discourse on this where people were saying just racist things about Rose, I think, and Finn, and it was like, okay, that is unnecessary. That's totally unnecessary. But it doesn't mean that when people say they are not good characters that they can't say that just because somebody said that they are like ugly or something racist. You can still criticize the film.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And there's nobody, just because I'm saying that doesn't mean that I think that those people deserve in any way anything having to do with their character as a person besides the character they play in the movie.
Yeah, that
I thought that was
unfortunately weird. That trend I think started with the 2016 Ghostbusters.
Okay.
Where yes, there were some people who definitely crossed the line as far as
it's unacceptable. Yeah.
And some of them were directed towards I can't remember names. It's just a black character there, like and they were racially motivated. Like that definitely happened.
Yeah.
But then that morphed into all criticism of the movie is either racist or sexist.
That's...
And it's like, no, it's just not funny. Like, like it took me years, but I did finally watch the movie. It's a bad movie.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I've never seen it.
And like, it's not that it was irredeemable. Like, they came at the same exact cast, and all they had to do was make it Ghostbusters 3. And like, change some things. Like, the whole plot needed restructured, and some of the effects were terrible. And a lot of the jokes were very hit and miss. But like the bones of an all-female Ghostbusters team, that can work. All you need to do is say after Ghostbusters 2 that they actually were successful now, and so they basically are franchising it out. Have some scene where the main 4 characters from the original 2 are in like a boardroom and they're like looking over applications like an all-female team. Like, why not? You know? Yeah. Let's see what they can do.
Aren't they in New York too? Like that would be completely normal.
And Venkman, like if you really want to do it, you know, he's mildly sexist half the time, you know, have him make some dinosaur sexist comment. Yeah. And then, you know, then they live up, surpass expectations.
Yeah, exactly.
And, you know, and then that's all you got to do. Like, but instead, they want to try to reinvent the wheel. It's like, you know, like some of them are kind of funny, but none of them are Bill Murray and
that's hard to do though.
And Dan Aykroyd. Like, I'm sorry guys, like I've seen you in other things. Like I think Melissa McCarthy's funny, and half the stuff is Syrian.
Yeah.
And I thought they had funny moments. It wasn't that the movie was a complete failure, but like it's a bad movie. And so, but then like the effects don't quite match up and things like that. So,
well, that's the thing though, right? So it is similar in that sense that because Star Wars is so, like that was magnified by hundreds of thousands of people, I would say, where I just thought it was I guess hypocritical is the term, or ironic, where you had people defending the sequel trilogy and then calling out these people for being bigots, which they were. But then they would say every Star Wars fan's a bigot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, you are a Star Wars fan.
Well, yeah.
Like you were a newly claimed, you're like, oh, I like Star Wars, like the sequel trilogy.
There's that, but there's also the like, we're just going to ignore Billy D. Williams and Samuel Jackson. We're going to ignore that one of the three main characters was a woman, like a strong woman who got things done.
And Samuel Jackson loved Star Wars before that and was like known for being like, I can't wait to be in Star Wars. Like, this is awesome.
It's like, no, we had diversity already. Now you can argue if it's enough or not, but
kind of token characters, to be frank.
But like Lando, by the third movie, Lando is now the fourth main cast member.
Yeah,
like he's part of the crew. And so. Yeah, like I look at that and I'm like, no, like Billy D. Williams is awesome. Like what the hell are you people talking about?
I know it's really frustrating to have that hypocrisy where you have people talking about these political things and then they don't even realize the politics in Star Wars, like how it's what it's representing already.
Yeah, there was a bit of that with Star Trek also. Whenever Discovery came out, so I was like, we just don't like it because the black character's leading. Like Star Trek Deep Space Nine is the best Star Trek series.
Dude,
the captain is black. Like
Cisco.
Like beginning end of sentence. Like no, it has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that I've been liking her as an actress. I liked her in The Walking Dead. I don't have a problem with her.
Yeah. My
problem is the show. Like Discovery is not great.
Yeah.
And although only 2 seasons in, I'll have to watch the other 2 at some point. But and it's just like, but also, and I mentioned this before. Like I think things like Twitter and social media create this problem because you have someone, I can't think of her name, that plays Michael Burnham in the show. Mm-hmm. But there was an interview she's doing and she was just talking about being like the first black commander in Star Trek. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, see now, you're not.
Black woman though, I would say.
Like black woman, sure, but but that wasn't what she was saying.
Okay, I see.
And it's like, no, like Captain Cisco was black and he was the third captain.
So that means she's not even a fan of this.
And we've also had a woman captain and Captain Janeway, the fourth captain. And so it's like, you're not a first for either of those. Yeah. And I don't know if it's just because you've not seen the other shows.
Probably some producer trying to hype up the show.
Or if it's someone in the production staff that's like, and I saw some of the similar things with episode 7, like, oh, finally a black main character in Star Wars. And I'm like, again, did we forget Lando and Mace Windu?
And Lando is definitely a major character in
it's
episode 6.
What are you talking about? Like a strong female character. Like, do you remember Leia by any chance?
Yeah.
Like, she halfway rescued herself from the Death Star. Like, once it was clear those two didn't know what the hell they were doing, she grabbed the gun and took charge. Like, she was a strong female character. Like,
she was my first crusher because I'm like, wow, she's so cool, dude. Like, I thought Princess Leia was so cool.
And then they act like people don't like Sigourney Weaver in Aliens or Linda Hamilton in The Terminator, and it's like, no,
Linda Hamilton's sick.
Like too. We love Sarah Connor, we love Ripley.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why I thought it was very ironic that they were trying to shit on like calling Star Wars fans like immature, misogynistic people, and it's like, well, hold on. There are definitely fans that like that. There are people who think the Empire didn't do anything too bad, right? You know what I mean? There's definitely people
I've come across the people that unironically think the Empire did nothing wrong.
Yeah, that's
I worry about
unbelievable. Yeah,
like it's one thing if you're saying that like just to say it, but like it's another thing like if you actually believe that, and you're like, okay then. Like,
well, I shouldn't say it's unbelievable because we live in the U.S. and there are definitely things that go unlooked at that need to be taken a deep dive on. But I mean, that's something that Star Wars is just too relevant to politics, like that it's hard to not see the parallels between reality, especially in the U.S. and Star Wars, because it is an American perspective on sci-fi, really.
I don't buy what George Lucas has said in a more recent interview with James Cameron.
Oh,
where he said the rebels are supposed to be the Viet Cong.
Oh, specifically?
And like the Empire is supposed to be the Americans. And I'm just like,
Yeah,
I
it's like
think you're
too
just making that up, George. Like, because I think the way everyone else interprets that is either the Empire or the Nazis, because of how they're dressed and everything, or the Empire or the British, because they're all British. The heroes are all Americans. They're the plucky ones fighting for independence.
The British was a shitty empire.
Like you're an American-made movie. Like, that is the very obvious parallel people are going to see.
I would probably see that. Yeah,
but I see people online all the time like, oh no, it's one interview. Like it's always been this thing. And I'm like, no, it's not. Like get real. George Lucas makes shit up all the time. Like I love George Lucas, but like he changes his own backstory constantly.
All the time.
It's a multiple choice. Like, and so like. No, like I think we can safely ignore some things he says. Like maybe that was his intention because it was the '70s, Vietnam just ended. But like he never said that back in the '70s. Yeah,
and you don't need it because it really is. Even though it makes more sense to have something to relate it to, but the Empire is the Empire, and the Empire is usually not going to be good for the rest of the galaxy. You know, that's the whole point. Is that it's an empire, a brutal empire.
Yeah,
it's bad.
I was going to say throughout most of history, it's empires are not good if you are not the empire.
That's correct.
Also, they're generally not good if you are the empire because they're usually pretty oppressive internally too. That's how they maintain order to expand. But
you might not have a Sith Lord as the mastermind, but you're going to have brutal. I mean, like look at Andor, right? You just have brutality, which totally makes sense, completely. That there is this localized brutality at all levels.
Well,
that nobody can do.
I like some of the comments I've seen where people are like, "Look, here's where he gets randomly arrested as an innocent bystander," and some people are like, "Well, the Empire didn't know it, but he wasn't actually innocent at this point in time. Like he'd already done these things. He wasn't actually an innocent person. It just so happens that he got arrested for other things. Like, well, let's not act like he was actually an innocent person.
Yeah."
And like, I understand what they're saying, but at the same time, it's like, but the Empire didn't know that. Like, they just grabbed him.
Yeah. No, and that's true. That's supposed to speak to both things. That it's the Empire can just do that, they will do that. But yes, he's obviously a flawed character. That he's done things that he has to reckon with, right? Yeah. And by the end of which it ends in such a great way that he makes the decision to go into to do what he does in Rogue One, which is also. I love Rogue One, by the way. I hate the sequel trilogy. I would say I want to use the word hate because it just shits on Star Wars.
That's the paradox of Disney Star Wars.
Yeah,
the same people somehow also made Rogue One and Andor. And I'm just like, how does this happen? How do you make like the near perfect Star Wars and like the anti-Star Wars? Yeah. It's the same people. Like, what is happening over there?
Book of Boba Fett was also garbage, by the way. I really don't like Book of Boba Fett.
No, it's not good. Then the one random episode becomes a Mandalorian episode, and
I like when they had cyborgs on. They had Thundercat, which was cool. I like Thundercat a lot, but it was more so just Fennec shit, right? Like, why is Boba Fett? Which is another thing. It's just the lore.
Why did Boba Fett suddenly become kind of a good guy?
And why was he completely incompetent? This is Boba Fett. Every single Star Wars, even the most casual Star Wars fans, probably knows like, I kind of know that guy, Boba Fett. He's like a bounty hunter.
He's the mysterious badass.
He's basically the bounty hunter. Yeah. He just forgets how to do anything. And Fennec, I like Fennec too. I thought Fennec was cool in The Mandalorian. I don't like her so much in Boba Fett because the way they wrote her to be like. I understand she is a badass, and she does know what she's doing. She's like a very well-renowned like assassin, and has proven that in The Mandalorian. That does not make her 50 times better than Boba Fett. Like Boba Fett definitely should have more experience, or at least equal. But I would say certainly more experience in almost everything Fennec would do. Maybe not like very specific assassination like techniques and like escape like some maybe. She can escape a bit better than Boba Fett or something. Yeah. But Boba Fett, I'm sure, has gotten out of tough situations, probably sneaking away in some cases. It just was... and then I hated what they did with Cad Bane. I'm like, Cad Bane is just like a goofball. Like
It was interesting seeing him in live action. Look at that.
Yeah, it was cool, but that's the thing. I'm sick of that. I'm sick of just having, that's cool. Like a little nod to the fans. It's like, all right, whatever. The rest of the show is garbage. Like, you know what? I can't take that.
I do wonder how the movie's going to turn out.
Oh yeah, the Mandalorian movie. Yeah.
That comes out this year, right? Like in May.
I don't know. It might.
I think it's May of this year. Yeah. Because I think the plan is to use that to wrap up a couple of the shows, not just the Mandalorian.
Maybe Ahsoka. I would assume.
No, Ahsoka's getting season 2 because they had to replace the actor for Baylan Skoll because Ray Stevenson died. Again,
wow.
the most interesting character on the show. He's dead. So he's replaced. Did you watch Game of Thrones?
No, I haven't.
Well, if you ever do, it's the guy that plays the Hound.
I actually know that. I know the Hound though.
He's replacing him. So.
He passed away. Oh, that's
yeah, he died like a year or two ago, and that's who they're going to replace him. Because people are speculating that they're dipping into the EU for what's going to happen there, because I think Balin Skull was trying to find Aboleth, who's I know Aboleth, like a cosmic horror dark side.
She's probably one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy, right?
Yeah, they think he was trying to find her because like a lot of things kind of line up for it. Like the way he's talking, like the statue he was at looks like I think the father from the bonus episode.
Because Aboleth is the mom.
Yeah,
right?
she's the mother. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, like they think that's where it's going.
Okay.
I'm personally, if it were me, I would just use that show just to overwrite the sequel trilogy. Just be like,
I would love that.
Just like break Thrawn's back.
I would love nothing more.
Like, just give us the Thrawn trilogy. You're gonna have to add Ahsoka into it because she's a factor now.
Yeah.
Just write her in. But throw in Mara Jade for Luke to have a kid with, and do everything that falls from that, and like let Luke actually succeed in rebuilding the Jedi Order. Because that's the big thing. Like I see him there, and I'm like, but you're going to fail, Luke. You're going to fall flat on your face, and then just walk away
for no good reason
at
all.
It's like the guy that bet it all on Vader being redeemable would not do that
so quickly and easily too.
Yeah,
it really makes. Yeah, it really makes no sense at all. So a good thing though is that because I've realized that I basically don't like anything Disney related. Even when I watch things, like an example, they changed Korriban to Morriban, and I just said, why would you do this? Like that's I'll just ignore that.
That's Dave Filoni. Like,
why would he do that?
That's why now that he's like, I guess been officially named. He's succeeding Kathleen Kennedy. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, okay.
Like it's official now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
There's a part of me that's like, Dave's made some good stuff, but Dave also does really stupid shit sometimes. Someone needs to be around to rein him in.
Yeah.
To be able to be like, no, Dave, that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
And I think Sam Witwer's the guy to do it. I don't know if you've ever seen the video. Cool. I don't know if you've ever seen the video where he's talking. They filmed some scene.
Oh yes.
And he's like, well, Dave, that's a good scene, but
impossible.
He's like, that wouldn't happen. He's like, what do you mean? He goes, well, he's talking about. He wished his mom would have met Padme. She's like, she did.
Yeah.
He's like, what do you mean? He's like, in the Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
Like, they had dinner, and Dave's like,
holy
smokes. And someone else is there like, did you just out Dave? And it's like, it doesn't sound like it would have been that hard, actually. So
no, it wouldn't. I would have Shmi, dude. How are you going to forget about Shmi?
Yeah, so it's one of those, like, I've heard him talk about that. I've heard him talk about, like, well, some stories are from a different perspective, so all the details aren't going to line up. And I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. Like, this is the we don't have to pay attention defense. This is preempting, like, we know there's going to be mistakes. We have a built-in defense. We don't care. We're not going to do the homework.
Yeah.
Like, we have Leland Chen somewhere here on the payroll whose whole job is to make sure everything lines up. And for some reason, we never talk to him. And it's like, what are you doing? Like, you have the resources. It's like when Kathleen Kennedy's like, well, these movies are like there's 600-page books we're going to base this all on. I saw someone had a meme picture this morning. It's like Will Smith's like, do this number. And it's just like all the books. It's like, no, you've got like 100 of them actually.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah. And that's the thing. I'm sure there are people who would be happy to consult. Have their consultant on the show.
Even if they're like, look, we can't just resurrect the EU, but we're going to ignore the sequel trilogy. They're never going to do that, but even if they magically would, like, but we like some of the ideas, so we're going to get some of the authors, and we're going to sit down and write out a new story plan going forward that's going to incorporate some of those ideas.
Yeah.
Like, even that would be preferable to what we have right now. But, like I said, they're not, unless Dave gets really creative and uses the world between worlds, because we already have the built-in time travel MacGuffin that we don't need in Star Wars. But if they use that to like jump back and then the sequel trilogy doesn't happen as a result, like I could live with that.
I think if they are making these decisions already, they will never take back the sequel trilogy. I'm pretty sure they will never do that because they can't admit to those mistakes either.
I think there's a way to work around it.
Yeah.
And I think I mentioned this to Jim one time. Like I said, you got Thrawn back, so just make the Thrawn trilogy.
Yeah.
Bring in Mara Jade. She and Luke are together for a while, but then she leaves, and Luke doesn't know that she's pregnant.
Okay, yeah.
And then at some point after the sequel trilogy, She shows up to Rey's doorstep, being hunted or something. Passes off her son, like, I know you're rebuilding the Jedi like Luke planned on. So Rey's my kid. I'm going to try to lead these people away.
Okay, yeah.
You know,
that'd be better.
And then circumvent to around there, and then start to bring in a couple of the EU characters, bring in Ahsoka, she's probably still alive, and have her rebuild the Jedi like Luke was going to, and then proceed from there. This would just be a bad fever dream at some point, where we just work around it, you know, instead of feeding into it.
Yeah, exactly. That's actually a good idea. I would agree, and I think that would please more parties than anything else they would do. Because if they out and out just took it or like completely ignored it for years, they could delay it. That's one thing I was thinking. They might just keep delaying it and like dancing around the sequel trilogy, just like they didn't fill in the gaps between certain episodes.
I was going to say, like in the Fast and Furious movies, how in Tokyo Drift we're introduced to Han.
Oh yeah,
and
he
shows up in the other movie.
Yeah.
Like, we know he has to die in Tokyo, but like they never said exactly when the movie takes place.
Yeah.
So they literally just kept putting it off and putting. There's even one of the movies where the girl he's with is like, "Are we heading to Tokyo?" I was like, "We'll get there someday." And I was like, "That is speaking right to the audience, saying we know, maybe we'll get there."
He was cool. He was a cool character.
It's like, you made a movie that no one liked but had one likable character and you killed him, so you bring him back in a flashback, and then everyone's like, put that Han guy in some more movies. You're like, okay, well, I guess all of these movies take place before Tokyo Drift. And it's just like, I don't know, I haven't even watched like 3 or 4 of them. Like,
Yeah, I've watched up to 6.
I think I watched 6 or 7 up to that point.
Is that when they go to Brazil?
I
Maybe
think I skipped 8.
Yeah.
And then I watched 9, I think.
I heard 9 and 10 are garbage.
I think 9 is the one where they're fighting the super hacker who steals a nuclear submarine that's going to start a nuclear war. And somehow they beat her by driving cars really fast. But like, I didn't see the one before that. And so I'm asking my friend Chris, we're sitting in the theater. I was like, what happened in the last one? And he's like, well, there's this big scene where they're on like the longest runway in the world. And I was like, no.
They go to space.
I saw that one.
Oh, okay.
There's one in between. He keeps bringing his plot. I was like, no, that's the one I've seen. Like, I know there's one I have not watched. I skipped it. You've not told me anything from it. You keep telling me about the one I've already seen.
Yeah.
And finally, it's like, all right, fucking I'll figure it out, I guess. Which is not hard. Those are not exactly intellectual pursuits here. Yeah. And then I didn't watch the last one where he has to send a car into space, apparently.
My friend told me that he watched it, and he was like, you'll never believe what happened in I almost said Final Fantasy X. Fast and Furious 10. And I go, what could possibly happen now? And he goes, he could not control himself. He's laughing. He goes, they go to space. And I go, what? And he was like, they go to space in their cars. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, that's one of those, like, the series jumped the shark, like, back in part 4. Like, I look at the later ones, and I'm like, you know what to think. This all started because Bryan wanted to arrest them for stealing DVD players.
Yeah.
And now we're fighting a cyber terrorist that wants to start a nuclear war, like,
still driving.
All those things are going. It's like, what is happening here?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
But no, I liked it. I think it's part 7. They'll get in the one with the stupidly long runway. There's literally like they're on a plane. It's a good like 5-6 minutes of the movie when this plane is going down the runway to take off. This has to be like a 10-mile long runway. And like there's a part where like The Rock and Vin Diesel are there, and they try so hard to make Vin Diesel look like he's anywhere near the size of The Rock. And it's like, Vin Diesel's a big guy, but The Rock is like a roid monster.
Yeah.
Like, no, like it's
like
not
6'7".
It's not even close. Like they try to have like a fight. Like The Rock would destroy him.
Yeah.
Like this would be like the shortest fight in history almost. This would be like David and
Vin
Goliath.
Diesel's like my height.
Yeah, this would be like David and Goliath if David didn't bring the sling. Like, like the way everyone thought the fight was going to go. And it's like, what is happening here?
Well, that's the thing, though. You have this. It's just a silly series, and just to bring it back to Star Wars again, you have some of these things that just seem ridiculous in Star Wars. Like when Kylo Ren is shooting at Luke Skywalker and doesn't understand that with all the AT, like the super AT-ATs too. They're like bunker busting AT-ATs, and he's just like, why won't he die? It's like, you're telling me you're not thinking even remotely logically like right now. I know there's a reason why he would be upset, but to be so upset that you are blasting somebody who there's no way he could survive. That's like if a Star Destroyer shot at Ahsoka and she deflected the cannon fire.
Yeah,
it's like this is not possible.
Yeah, it's one of those like, yes, maybe Luke at the height of his powers could do that, but the giveaway is actually like if you'd have looked at him, like how he looked like 20 years younger,
and didn't move
like
once.
The Force doesn't do that. The Force doesn't give you your hair color.
And they have, you see in Empire Strikes Back, they could zoom in on him. Yeah. Somebody could be like, sir, Luke Skywalker's on the field.
Yeah, he should have known, but like,
macro binocular right to his face.
There was that part of me that momentarily had the hope of like, all right, we're going to see Luke, like finally, like peak Luke, just whoop some serious ass here. And then like I realized like, no, he doesn't look right.
Yeah, I knew it. I'm like,
I was like, okay, so I guess it's still an amazing feat with the Force projection across the universe.
Yeah.
That's still amazing. But then it's like, oh, I guess he drank too much and he died. He died doing what he loved.
Such a shame.
He died doing what he loved, staring into the sun.
What a silly movie. So that's what I'm saying. I don't want stuff like that when it seems ridiculous in a Star Wars setting, and it's like Fast and Furious in reality.
Well, like what was really bad about that, I think because of COVID, they went back and did a lot of reshoots. They had a lot of time. And Carrie Fisher died in real life during that time. So they could have gone back, had her die when she gets sucked out into space.
Yeah.
And have Luke live because Mark Hamill's still alive. And they were just like, nah, it'll be fine. And it's like,
Nine's so bad.
Like, why did anyone put Rian Johnson in charge of that? Like, I like his other movies. He could make a decent Star Wars movie.
I watched Looper. I think it's the only other movie I watched. I liked Looper.
Looper was decent.
Yeah.
Brick is good.
I've never seen that.
Knives Out is good.
Oh, I love Knives Out, yeah.
Glass Onion a little less good. I think that one tried to be a little too smart.
But I haven't
seen the third one. But the first one was good. Like, Rian Johnson can make decent movies.
Yeah, the first one's good.
Like, just put him in some other corner of the Star Wars galaxy that doesn't affect anything and let him run wild. Like, I don't care if that happens. But, like, movie 8 in a 9-part series, that's not where you burn down all the plot potential and try to subvert expectations. Like, no. I want my expectations fulfilled. Like, there's one movie.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Like, this better be like a paint by numbers thing. Like, throw a couple surprises in there. I don't care. But, like...
Especially compared to Empire, because Empire is still... So, really fast, what are your... If you could put it in order, I'll say mine really fast. I would have to go Empire is my favorite, then probably Episode 3, but New Hope is really close. So it's either New Hope, Episode 3, then Empire Strikes Back, then Phantom Menace, but that's also pretty close because I like Phantom Menace quite a bit. And then Episode 2, The Clone Wars, is probably my least favorite. Oh, Rogue One would be right before Phantom Menace. So Rogue One might be just around Empire Strikes Back as well. And that's all I consider, really. What about yourself? If you haven't done this before, I don't know.
I'd probably go 5.
Yeah.
Then probably 6 and 3 tied. Then 4.
Okay.
Then then 4. Then Rogue One.
Yeah.
Then 1. Or probably Rogue One. Then Solo. Then 1.
Solo. I did like Solo.
Then 1, then 2, and then the other trash.
Okay. Solo is actually... I've only seen that once, and I watched it in theaters, and I liked it, and I've never watched it again. I have it on DVD, actually.
Yeah,
I should probably watch it again.
It's nothing great.
Yeah.
But it's watchable. Its only main problem is, like, it's the movie nobody was asking for.
Yeah.
Like, nobody was like, I really want to know about Han's background. Yeah. It's like... They're like, here, you don't know about Han's background? Like, all right, fine. Is it better than 8? Sure, I'll show it up. And
I would have liked Lando's movie actually probably more than...
Well, they're still working on that, I think.
Okay.
The Donald Glover's, I don't know if it's going to be a mini-series
he would
or
be
movie.
Perfect.
But he's supposed to come back as Lando for something. And I liked him as Lando. So
yeah, he was cool.
But,
yeah.
So, yeah, that's the order I put him in.
Yeah.
I don't count the Clone Wars movie. The animated Clone Wars movie. It's literally just like the first few episodes of the show. Like,
oh, yeah, when they save the huts, or Jabba's...
I don't count that as a Star Wars movie.
Yeah. So. I did watch that in theaters, too, actually. It's fun.
It's the only one I didn't. So.
Okay. My cousin took me. That was cool. But, yeah, like, I think that just goes to show how you can have a long series as well that it gives room, and I will always have hope that Star Wars can be good again, like better than it is at least. But you have, like you said, so much material to draw from that you can easily expand off of one of the books to make something quality or do a workaround for the sequels. But you could also just do, like, I know they have the High Republic, which I've heard is so-so for certain things. But I think that's the better idea, is to have an era without trampling on other things that already exist. You could change things a little bit, but don't trample on it.
No.
And go from like the idea of maybe an era and then build a story in the era and consult people and think about what other stories might exist around that era or in that era. And I can't see why fans wouldn't like that if you had that basis, that foundation for it.
Yeah, I mean, they've got options. That's the biggest problem.
There's so many.
Is no one's, like, this is going to sound, some people think it's a silly idea. I always thought Lucas should have made a trilogy between 2 and 3 of Clone Wars.
That'd be cool.
So that whenever Order 66 comes down, like, we know the characters. Like, it's not just, oh, there's a Jedi, I should care. Like, no, that's Plo Koon, that's AC-10, like.
They fill that in the Gennady Tarkovsky's series a bit.
Yeah, that's one was like, again, it would have been a crazy idea.
Yeah.
Be like, I'm going to make a trilogy within the trilogy.
Yeah.
Like, George, you have lost your mind. Like,
you have too much money.
But it would have been great.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, there's things you can do, but like.
Yeah. That's why I knew Shock 2. That's actually also one of the reasons I really got into the extended one. Oh, so that was something I was telling my coworker that.
Which Shock T death do you prefer?
Yeah, which is true though. But I definitely like the Shock T death in the Clone Wars. But I remember getting into Star Wars even more because I was just old enough to really get on the internet, and my mom only let me go to a few sites, and she let me go to Star Wars like .com, and my dad, he let me go to, when I was with him, it would be like the one thing I'd want to start if I was able to go on the computer, like, let me go to StarWars.com, because I just love Star Wars that much. So I remember you could vote. There's an Ithorian that like uses their throat, because Ithorians like technically have like 2 or 3 lungs or something like that, and they can expel like a great amount of force through that. So, but I remember you had to vote for that. I don't know if you remember. You got to vote to see which of the Jedi with Shock T. There's a Tals that I can't think of. There's the Ithorian Jedi that's with Shock T when they're trying to save Palpatine, trying to save the Chancellor. And I remember, like, every day I would check because I wanted to see what they would get to do, and it was so gratifying to be like, I voted, like, I can't believe I participated in like something that happens in Star Wars. Like, that is so cool. And he just basically yells at Grievous super loudly in the hallway, and Grievous just like turns into his like form where he can like just like slowly march through it. And I just remember thinking, I'm like a small part of Star Wars, and I was like overjoyed. I thought like that was the best thing possible. Why don't they have if they just had more fan interactions, right? Like, even that, just to involve the fans a bit more.
Well, they think the fans are toxic, that's why, so.
Well, all right. I guess there's nothing you can do about that. Yeah, that's true.
So, I hate to cut this short, but my phone is literally like the screen has gone dark because it's going to shut off here, and I think someone keeps trying to call me. So, anyway, let us know what you thought about all that, either the initial topic or the then, I don't know how long of talking about Star Wars after that.
Inevitable. Yeah.
But let us know what you think down in the comments. If there's any particular other things you want to hear discussed, let us know. But otherwise, like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Sharing and commenting help us grow the channel is appreciated. Thank you, everyone who's gotten us to almost 700 subscribers, and hopefully you stick around. And thank you, Brian, for being in the video here and everything.
Thank you, man.
And hopefully we'll see you again around Gen Con. All right?
Yep.
All right. So look for that around August. But yeah.
Till next
Other
time.
than that, just remember, the Force will be with you always.